I'm sure that you must have seen many exams in your life, but have you ever heard of an exam paper that is completely blank? No, right? So, let's listen to a story with Nokri friends today, in which there is an exam, but the question paper is completely blank. The name of today's movie is Exam, so sit comfortably and listen to the story. At the beginning of June, we see 8 candidates who are preparing for a job exam in a big company. We see that the light in the examination hall is a little dim, and all the candidates have been seated at an equal distance. Cameras were installed to keep an eye on every movement of Pawan. When the candidates sat in their seats, a guard entered the room with a gun. On seeing him, everyone got worried to some extent. After that, a man came in. We do not know his name, but he introduces himself as the Invigilator. We come to know that all those candidates had passed all the previous exams, and if they pass this test today, they will get their dream job. According to the rules, the Invigilator tells them that, in the examination hall, no law of the country's constitution is applicable. Candidates must follow only the law of the exam. They are not even allowed to talk to the guard or the Invigilator. He explained that if they intentionally or by mistake ruin the paper kept in front of them or leave the room for any reason, they will be disqualified. They have 80 minutes to finish this test. There is only one question on the paper kept in front of them, which they have to answer. The Invigilator asked if anyone had a question. When no one answered, he wished everyone good luck and left the room. When they turned the question paper, they saw that it was completely blank on both sides. They all looked at each other with confused eyes. As time passed, their restlessness increased. Candidate number 2 started writing on the paper, explaining why he deserved the job. The camera zoomed in on his paper, and Jalawar was asked to take him out of the room because he had spoiled his paper. Number 2 begged for a second chance, but the guard didn't listen to him and locked the door. After a while, number 5 thought that since they couldn't talk using words, they could communicate using letters and cards. This meant they could talk to each other. He shared this with the others, who believed him and agreed that they had to find both the question and the answer together. They discussed several ways to pass the test. During this time, candidate number 1 didn't speak at all. A man started introducing himself, but number 5 suggested that they should all keep fake names for each other so they wouldn't have to reveal their real identities. He gave number 1 the code name Deaf because he hadn't spoken a word yet. They named the boys Brown, Black, and White according to their races, while the girls were named Blonde, Bride, and Tortoise, according to their hair color. White suggested that he could stand up from his seat because there was no rule against it. He took a chance and stood up, and everyone was happy to see that the guard remained in his place. This meant that he could move anywhere in the room. White thought that the questions might have been written on the paper with some kind of invisible ink. They all agreed to test his theory, but didn't know how. White got up and started checking his paper carefully under the room light, but nothing was visible. He urged everyone else to check their papers, as it was possible that the question was written on only one paper. Everyone agreed and started looking, but Tuff sat quietly in his seat. White took his paper and checked it in the light, but no one found anything. Black suggested that maybe the writing was visible under UV light. They all started looking for a switchboard to turn on such a light. When they didn't find a switchboard, they searched for a special light bulb. No one helped Defiant, and he sat restlessly in his seat. Blonde found an emergency light strip in the room, but since there was no switch, they had to break all the wires in the room to activate it. He asked if the emergency light strips could turn on automatically, but Pran argued that they couldn't take such a big risk. They voted on the matter, and finally decided to proceed with the plan. All the light bulbs in the room broke as the emergency blue lights turned on. Everyone started looking for the question on the paper except for tape, but once again, they were disappointed as nothing was visible. Brunette asked them to remove the first layer of the paper, but there was still no electricity. They used the same woman's pen to break the lights, which changed the color of the light to yellow, but still, nothing was visible on the paper. Now, they had only 7 minutes left. White thought that he could do anything with candidate number 2's paper, since she had already been disqualified. Everyone stood around her desk and started pressing pencils onto her paper. But still, no question appeared. White tore some pieces of her paper so that he could experiment in different ways. He even urinated on the paper to see if the invisible ink would react. Black and White got into a heated debate about what to do next. Meanwhile, Data started crying. The others looked at him in surprise. He then started mumbling something in French, claiming that he was seeing a reflection of himself in the paper folds. The others didn't think much about it and continued looking for ideas. They each had different theories. Some believed the invigilator was behind everything, while others suspected the CEO. Under pressure, they lost their tempers and began insulting each other. Dance confidently stated that no one was watching them because the CEO was too busy running the company. She had all the company's rights and didn't have time for such trivial matters. It was clear that she knew more about the company than anyone else. Brinjal asked Dak how she knew so much about the CEO. Dak replied that she worked for the company but had never seen the CEO. She had only visited the company once when she applied for a big position and was selected for this test. White said that he had been searched and offered the job, while the others said they had applied for it themselves. One thing they all realized was that none of them knew anything about the company. Black then told them that it was a well-known pharmaceutical company owned by Rahul. A few years ago, when a global epidemic broke out, this company was the first to find the cure. At present, their annual turnover was $20 million. Black suggested that perhaps the company had found a cure for a new deadly disease that was killing thousands of people worldwide. Don suddenly became angry and asked Black for more information. This made White suspicious, and he asked if they had actually created the virus. Brad denied it and ended the conversation. To divert attention from herself, she moved toward Don and secretly took a lighter from his pocket. The whole group decided to use the lighter to trigger the fire alarm. This would cause water to fall, which might reveal the writing on the paper. Birthday climbed onto a chair but couldn't reach the fire alarm. White gave her a folded piece of paper to help her, and she used it to set off the fire alarm. Soon, water started falling, but it had no effect on the paper. Suddenly, Gordon looked toward the fire alarm, opened his paper, and realized it was his own. In the chaos, someone had switched his paper. Cheated and enraged, he was pulled out of the room. As he left, he called White a cheap and deceptive man. Black turned to White and said, "Why are you putting off his light?" At that moment, the room's lights went out. They realized the room had a voice control system. They warned each other before speaking again. White suddenly sat in front of the desk and, threateningly, tore his own paper before going to the fire alarm and throwing another candidate out. Now, only 5 candidates remained. White smiled and said they should be thanking him for reducing the competition. He claimed he knew the real question but wouldn't tell anyone. Black, enraged, knocked him unconscious in one blow. White claims that one of them has given him the pill. He promises to tell them the question in exchange for the pill. Soon, he faints again, and his body starts trembling rapidly. Some of them think that he is still pretending, but Black is so scared that they cannot find it. Everyone starts searching for the pill in the room, but it is not found anywhere. Dow suspects that Brown has hidden the pill somewhere, and his doubts are proven right when the bullet is found stuck to Juhi Nigam under Brown's table. She starts feeding the bullet to White, but Brown hits the bullet with his hand and drops it in the event when everyone else is trying to take it out. Doctor panics and asks many more invigilators in front of the camera to save the point, but he is immediately disqualified for talking to the invigilators. After he leaves, Blonde takes out the bullet from the vat with the help of a pin and saves White's life. When he recovers, everyone asks him about the question which he had promised to tell. The voice tells them that the answer is himself. They were searching for the question until now, but according to him, there is actually no question. And in the end, this is the answer of the child. Everyone else believes him, but before they can do anything, White runs to smell it like a guard. Black pushes him and gets the gun in his hand. He aims the gun toward White and says that he will not shoot anyone. As soon as he gets a chance, White attacks Black, and the gun is better than him. But as soon as he tries to use it, he realizes that the gun has a fingerprint recognition system, which means that only the hand of the guard can fire it. White uses the guard's hand to point the gun at everyone. "If you want to stay alive, then quietly go out of the room," White tells them. Due to fear of the Brahmin brothers, everyone listens. Blonde also starts going out, giving importance to her life, but before leaving, she says, "Lights off." Suddenly, all the lights in the room go out. White starts firing indiscriminately in every direction. When Black is about to be shot in the chest, White looks around and sees that one leg of Blonde is still inside the room. He is about to shoot her as well, but seeing the timer, he realizes that the time for the exam is over. Black goes near the camera and tells the invigilator that he is the winner of the competition. Gordon comes near him and shows him the time. White is shocked to see that there are still 20 seconds left. He had to talk to the invigilator during the test. We learn that while they were all busy finding the solution, Dexter secretly changed the time on the clock. In the end, only one candidate is saved. Blonde picks up Dexter's glasses from the floor, which had fallen while he was being taken out. With their help, she sees question 1 written on a piece of paper. She is shocked when Dex enters the room and tells her that he is actually the CEO of the company. He was there to keep an eye on everyone during the test. She goes to him and says, "No invigilator." And the CEO smiles at her because she found the question and passed the test. It is revealed that at the beginning of the test, the invigilator asked if anyone had any questions. This was the question she had to answer. The entire exam was designed to test the intelligence and attentiveness of the candidates. He offers her a job as his secretary, but she refuses because she does not want to work for a company where people are killed. The invigilator tells her that Black is not actually dead, because what hit her is actually a capsule that heals the wound when it enters the body. This is, in fact, the miraculous medicine they have developed, which can cure any disease in the world. In the end, Blonde accepts the job and loses the office to the CEO. For the sake of the film, please do tell your favorite story in the comments below. If you like it, then like it and subscribe for more such videos.